I've redacted the name of the school and location, and it's a long scenario, and I'm not going to read it all, but I'm going to sum it up that you got a special education teacher that has a big fly swatter that is using it as a means of compliance, discipline compliance. It really doesn't matter. It's outrageous, and it's something that, frankly, to have a principal discard it and say, well, it's just hearsay, I don't believe that for a second. There are rare instances to where a principal isn't aware about what's going on, and typically those are the situations to where the things that are happening that should not be happening are happening within the walls of, let's say, a self-contained classroom, a self-contained special education classroom, to where there's stuff covering the door to where people can't look in. A lot of these special education classrooms are locked. So anything going on inside there, anybody on the outside, general education teachers, neurotypical students, or administration, would have to knock. There would have to be an announcement that somebody's trying to get in. In those instances, yes, that's where we tend to have a problem, is that, you know, nobody knows what's going on. The kids aren't in a position to report it. The few kids that can report it aren't being listened to. In this situation, based upon the scenario, this teacher has been doing this for multiple years, starting in 2019 when you saw it the first time. And this is outside of the classroom. This is in common areas. This is being seen by everybody. And if the teacher thought what she was doing was wrong or inappropriate, she wouldn't be doing it in front of other people. But she's doing it in front of other people. And these other people are their peers, meaning that they're coworkers, they're the other teachers. And you can't tell me that the principal or assistant principal or somebody within that school have not seen her over the course of multiple school years with that damn fly swatter. Now, I have seen this, fly swatters, water bottles sprayed in our kids' faces. I have seen it. Them strapped to Rifton chairs, when the purpose of those are supposed to be orthopedic only. They are not supposed to be used as a means of restraint. I've seen kids thrown in closets and locked in there. This stuff happens. It happens more than the general public is aware of. What I see and what the cases that come to me, I mean, it is disturbing, it is troubling. This is the problem, though. Okay, these things can be fixed. So whatever you're going through, it absolutely is abhorrent. It's wrong. It can be stopped, and I would be more than happy to help you do it. All right, because you live in Alabama, and that can stop. And then support and protect your son in ways that they can't do it, or they won't do it. That's the better one. They won't do it. And to sit there and have the principal act as though nobody's seen anything when she's done this for more than a few school years, and with the arrogance to do it in front of everybody else, the ignorance to do it in front of everybody else, and then to have everybody else just sort of like, you know, well, either I don't see anything or think it's okay. I mean, what level of stupid do you gotta be to think that that's okay? Ever. But that is what we deal with, okay? Now, what are some of the complexities I want to touch on real quick? What are some of the complexities that we have with regards to truly holding these people accountable? The biggest obstacle that, and I'm talking about truly accountable, meaning that they get charged with assault or they get their licensure taken away. What are some of our obstacles on the parent side when it comes to that? In particular in Alabama, there's a few layers of old law mixed with current sort of understanding, along with immunity, government immunity. Those things, it's still a corporal punishment state, all right? So that sort of raises the level of sort of analysis on whether any of this behavior truly shocks the conscience, which is another legal standard as to overcoming somebody's legal immunity. Then that old archaic sort of law that they have in Alabama permits a certain amount of violence, I guess you could say. I don't like to call it anything else because that's what it is, in order to manage their classroom and manage the students. Old law applied today. We have better knowledge. That's wrong. The law's still there, which allows a lot of flexibility with regards to the use of aggression and what people call discipline, good old-fashioned Southern discipline. And I'm not good. When I say good old-fashioned, I don't mean that in a positive way, guys. There just tends to be this this idea that you don't spare the rod. You know, something that I think is greatly misunderstood and misapplied and exaggerated with regards to you know, a verse in the Bible. Okay, I understand consequences, I understand discipline, but the person receiving those things needs to have the capacity to understand and appreciate the consequence. And I don't believe violence is, you know, the way to teach that. But at the same time, I also don't think that the government or the state should be permitted to hit other people's kids, especially when the state itself takes a very hard position when it comes to mandatory reporting, to where every little thing, every little suspicion gets traded off to where you're investigated. And that includes for swatting your child. But they can do it. I don't like hypocrisy. So if there's mandatory reporting, and believe me, you can sit there and file a police report, you can call DHR or CPS, you can do that all day long. But I have not had any of these layered departments truly come through to do a neutral investigation on behalf of kids. I see them allowing the school institution to investigate itself. And of course, what does the school institution do? It never seems to find that they did anything wrong. And so therefore, these other agencies wash their hands and they say, well, you know, they didn't find anything. Well, mandatory reporting of things like a fly swatter, spraying of a water bottle, any of these other excesses and abuses, mandatory reporting falls upon the shoulders of the school system as well. Their employees are not immune from suspicion of neglect and abuse, but yet they never report or rarely report internally their people might be engaging in this kind of stuff, to permit DHR in to do interviews and investigations. Now, there's consequences if a school does not report these things. There's legal consequences if they do not report them, but they're not reporting them. Now, who would hold them accountable? Well, the police, of course, but now we have police inside the schools, paid for in part by school money. We've lost that neutrality, guys. We've lost the watchdogs. So the watchdogs have been thinned out with regards to holding people to account inside the public schools in some of these regards. And we do have bad apples. I'm not talking about all teachers and administrators. We have a lot of good people, and that's hopefully, I think it is, in the majority. But these bad apples are being allowed to exist. And I'm telling you, if there are other teachers, good people, that saw this lady with a fly swatter and nobody did anything about it, then I throw them in the same camp of bad. Why were you silent? Why didn't you say something? What's wrong with you? But I fear we're losing our humanity in this country. I fear we're losing our compassion. And it always starts, and it's always evident about how we treat the most vulnerable in our society. Does that mean that we give up? No, it means we fight. We fight harder. We swing harder to fix these kind of things. But some of this stuff, guys, I don't have some magic wand. And some of this stuff has to be fixed by your legislators. They've got to change the law. They've got to sit there and take away immunity. They've got to sit there and get rid of some of this old law permitting these exaggerated responses. That's where we start making the change.